How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to talk about another new battery for you. You may recall we have a BougeRV inverter that we use for a lot of our testing, and BougeRV also has a Group 24 lithium iron phosphate battery, which is this little guy right here. So you know probably by now that I like the Group 24 size batteries. A lot of them out there are Group 31s, and they're just really just filled up with foam in place to make up the extra space. So if you're trying to do a new installation, a smaller boat, kayak, or whatever, consider a Group 24 size battery. You get the same amount of power out of a 100 amp hour Group 31 battery or a Group 24. So hopefully we get that cleared up. Seen a lot of questions on that, but this is the BougeRV version. 12.8 volts, 100 amp hours, 1280 watt hours is what the rating is. These guys are really small, right? So they're about 2 inches shorter than a Group 31. You get the lithium iron phosphate chemistry, so there's a couple major benefits to that. Obviously the weight, this thing is only 23.5 pounds or so on my scale, so it's very lightweight, about half of that compared to like a lead acid or an AGM battery. You also get to use a full depth of discharge, so you can completely deplete this battery and get the full 100 amp hours out of it. Whereas if you had a lead acid, you can get about 50%, about 50 amp hours out of a lead acid battery, so you're getting about 2 times the power of a traditional deep cycle lead acid battery. So if you're putting this on a trolling motor, solar setup, RV, or whatever, you can really count on that full capacity to be able to use it and still get a long cycle life. The cycle life, speaking of that, if you really deplete the battery, maybe 3,000 cycles or so, depending on your depth of discharge, will certainly increase the cycle life. There's in many cases, if it's used properly, charged properly, these things will last an extremely long time and they'll calendar age out before they'll cycle out. So you can get a long, long life out of these, 5, 7 plus years, depending on how you use it. So the LFP cells are doing a nice job in that regard, especially for your, your solar setup, your RV. Maybe you've got like an off-grid setup or obviously a boat, right? Great use for that. So with any battery that we get, we do a capacity test on it, fully charge it, and then we pull a constant 10 amps on it. This one brought out 105 amps, so 105 amp hours. So that's really nice, right? 100 amp hour rated. You're getting 105 out of it, so you're able to really count on that full capacity to be able to put that to use and rely on it. If you're doing some calculations for your fish finders or whatever, you've got a nice number to play with. We did do a load test on it, so we took the 2000 watt inverter and loaded it up. And what we learned is it's rated at a 1C discharge rate at 100 amps, but it will take more than that. So if you pull like 130 amps, it will disconnect that after about 2 minutes. So it can take a higher sustained load, but you really want to keep it around 100 amps. Obviously with any installation, you want to make sure you're properly fusing it. You got 6, 8, whatever gauge wire coming off this battery. Make sure you got a breaker or a fuse soon thereafter to make sure you don't have any issues with the output current capability of the battery. Speaking of kind of battery features, it does have, like I mentioned, the overcurrent protection, short circuit protection. It has overcharge protection, so it kicks out your charger. You can leave it on a charger if you'd like to. I've got a video on how to charge your battery, how to take care of it, so you may want to watch that. It has low voltage, so as it gets too low, 10.5 volts or so, it drops out. And also it watches your temperature, right? So if it's too hot or too cold, it will monitor the discharge of the battery. And if you haven't checked out the BougeRV company before, they've got a lot of different things on their website. I'll certainly link them down below. They've got inverters like we have here, a 2000 watt, which has Bluetooth connectivity. Kind of nice if you're setting up an off-grid setup, solar, whatever, that you've got a battery that matches the inverter, that matches whatever other bits that you're trying to run. They've got all kinds of different components. Check those out below. Like and subscribe to the channel. And thanks for checking out our BougeRV battery.